I am here with Nathan Spiteri. If you haven't heard of him, I'm hoping that once you see this interview, you will open your heart and your mind to male sexual abuse and the impact it has on somebody. It's not just oh, you got abused once or twice, get over it. There's no getting over something like that. There's a journey that goes to that. So, Nathan, thank you obviously for sitting down with me, but also thank you for your brutal honesty in your documentary. I know you wrote a book, so we'll get into all the things, but I watched your TED talk and it was just not only was it eye-opening, it was very relatable because I've had similar experiences, not quite to the degree with some of the challenges you went through after it. Um, but I did have one serious one. So, but we'll this is about you, and I want to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really happy to be here and to talk to you and to share my story. So obviously I grew up in Australia. I live in the States now, but I grew up in Australia and I grew up in a town just outside of Canberra. Canberra's a capital city.
Mhm,
Um, Small town, 20,000 people. And I was 8 years old, summertime, just after Christmas. Me and my sister would ride our bike to the local swimming pool, and it was something we did every day or, every second day. It felt like the whole town would go to this pool.
mhm,
Um, End of the day, my sister left early with some of her friends, and that was fine because I'd ridden my bike home from the pool and from town
mhm,
hundreds of times before alone. It was no issue. But I was followed into the change rooms by this man, cornered me in the shower. He kind of slammed my head against a wall and not knocked me out, but dazed me, and then he raped me in the shower. The first thing he said to me was that if I tell anyone, he'll kill me and kill my family. So as an 8-year old, mid to late 80s, this is all you know.
right.
There's no organizations, there's no hotlines, there's none of this, there's no phones, mobile phones or anything like that. So I took it as gospel, and this relationship with this man went on for 5 years, and it started out very rough and violent. He would throw me against the wall, choke me out to the point where I'd pee my pants. He would slap me, punch me, kick me, rape me violently. But then through his grooming, his lies, his manipulation of him telling me that this is what my family want, that my parents hate me, that no one will believe me, that he loves me and I love him. He told me that I picked him up at the pool. If I ever tell anyone, I'll get in trouble and go to jail and I'll never see him again and I'll never see my family again. So through that, I kept it quiet. I shut down and I closed off and I pushed my family away and fell into a Stockholm syndrome relationship with this man where I felt love for him. I wanted to be with him. I would ride my bike down to his house and wait for him to get home, knowing all too well what was going to come. The
Yeah.
punch, the violence, the sex, the rape, the all of that stuff.
Now,
Uh,
did you know the man, or it was just
no, I didn't know him originally. But again, small town,
yeah.
people get around, people know each other, all that type stuff. Um, he disappeared out of my life. He just kind of vanished when I was 13 years old. And for the next 2 years, I kind of questioned who I was, what I was, where I belong in the world. Am I gay? Am I straight? He told me how special I was. Was I really that special? And then the next suburb over from mine was an industrial estate, gay clubs, sex clubs, cruise lounges. 15 years old, I would ride my bike to these places. I would sneak in.
Mhm.
These men would feed me drugs, get me fucked up, get me high, and then they'd rape me again. And that went on for years. And eventually it went from them raping me to them raping me, but me turning around now and beating them up, bashing them, robbing them. And that was my fuck you to the world. That was my way of getting my power back, feeling alive, trying to feel something. And
I would bet that's very common.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
because you want to take control back. And those people, like, well, they kind of deserved it because they were doing it to you. But even in non-violent relationships, sometimes that turns the person into the aggressor, not even necessarily in a rape kind of way, but just in a when you're being intimate with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And just through that world, I fell in with the wrong crowd, started shooting heroin, smoking crack, selling my body for sex, anything again to feel something.
Mhm.
Um, in my mid-20s, I was invited to New York to do theater. I was doing theater and acting in Australia, and that was an outlet for me. That would allowed me to not be me, not be Nathan, and become someone else.
Yep.
Get lost in that world and get lost in that character. So I was in New York. I went to HB Studio there and did a 2 year program as well as doing the theater, and I was shooting some films and thinking I could get away from that life in Australia, but it's New York City. You can get what you want, when you want, how you want it, twice as cheap as anywhere else. Fell back into the drugs, the violence, the sex, and almost killed myself and almost killed someone else.
Mm.
And that was my do or die moment. That was my now or never moment. That was my, okay, if I don't say anything now, I'm going to end up dead in jail or on the street. And I told my best friend, she was someone I went to acting school with in New York, and I love her dearly because she saved my life. She helped me find a therapist. She helped me get help. And it's been, some 10 odd years now of just constant therapy, group therapy, rehab, AA, narcotics, Sex Anonymous, and me now learning about myself, who I am, learning about my relationship with this man, with my family, with friends, with lovers, with, girlfriends and stuff like that. And coming to peace, understanding, finding my strength, finding my power, finding my voice. And being a voice for the voiceless, being a voice for those who don't have one
Mhm.
and who will never have one and can't because of consequences or because of whatever their situation is. So, in doing this, I know what I signed up for and it's hard work. And it's a lot of no's, it's a lot of kickbacks, it's a lot of kicks in the guts and people not wanting to know about it because it's male sexual abuse.
Mhm.
And a lot of people out there in society, they do not care about male sexual abuse. They don't want to know about it. They turn a blind eye to it. They sweep it under the carpet. But it's time we change that narrative. It's time we educate the world on this. 80% of global suicides are male. 80% are male. 70% of those are due to unresolved childhood trauma. So it's all right there.
Yeah, and that that the word you use, unresolved, people tend to say get over it, as if you can get over the fact that you were sexually abused. You get over the fact that it happened, but then you start doing these negative behaviors, all tied to those what happened to you.
Yes.
You're not getting over the one thing or two times that, regardless of how many times it happens, you can push past that, but it's everything you did because of it. So
And
there is
it's
no
not
getting
about,
over it.
you're right. It's not, sorry, it's not about getting over it. It's not about throwing it away and pretending it doesn't exist. It's about, for me anyway, it's about educating myself on it, learning about those experiences so that I can move forward with it. I can grow with it. I can evolve and become a better person with it and because of it. Because if I throw it away and pretend it doesn't exist, it's going to come back and hit me twice as hard, whether it's in a day, a week, a month, a year, and it's going to build and build and build and build until I
Under,
explode. I lose my shit. I fall off the wagon, or if I act out and I hurt someone else or do something else, that's going to be bad. So it's about moving forward with it because that's where your strength is. That's where you get your power. That's where you get your voice. That's where you get, you know, that's where you get your life back.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing too, is get over it is very dismissive and makes it seem like you shouldn't be as messed up as you are because of what happened.
Exactly.
That's People who say get over it really don't understand it. And it almost seems like they don't want to understand it because maybe it's too much for them to handle. Uh,
Exactly.
so you wrote a book called Toy Cars, detailing, well, and obviously in greater detail than we're able to get to in these interviews and the documentary even. Um, and congratulations, it's very hard to get a copy turned around in 2 days. Yeah, it's very popular and it's getting takes a while for it to come in, but I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, so when was it? 2018. I had a big article come out about me in 2018 in one of the national and one of the major news, the Sydney Morning Herald and the Canberra Times in Australia. Um, and I learned probably 3 months later that there was a million hits on it in Australia and globally. 6 months later, I got a book deal through a publishing house in Australia. They read that article and reached out and said, Nathan, your story's amazing. We would love for you to write a memoir. And I'm like, I don't know how to write a memoir. I don't know how to do that. Fucking no. I'm an actor and I can write a script, but I can't write a memoir. Um, but I agreed to do it and I sat down and one thing I said with my publisher and bless her, and she's an amazing woman. I said, if I do this, I'm putting everything into it. I'm including everything.
Mhm.
I'm not going to write a memoir and say, I was raped at 8 years old, but here I am today, and today I'm fabulous.
Mhm.
No one gives a fuck about that. It's about the messy parts in the middle. It's about the shit in the middle. That's what's important. That's where we learn. That's where we grow. That's where we evolve and educate ourselves. So she was like, absolutely. Um, so I got that deal. Probably it was around August or so, because I remember it was the end of summer here, and I procrastinated on it for a few months, and then Thanksgiving weekend, my friends have a beautiful house out in Sag Harbor in the Hamptons, and I said, "Can I just go and sit at your house for a month and just write?" So I did that, and then from there I went back to Australia and wrote and continued to write, and then got back to New York, and I got back to New York about a week before COVID hit.
Mm.
So then COVID hit, which was a bit of a blessing in disguise because I just sat at home and
Wrote.
finished.
Yeah.
Well, I started it in end of November, Thanksgiving kind of weekend, and I finished it what was it, end of March or end of April. So it was very quick and I just got it done. Then it was 128,000 words. The average book is about 80, but through the editing process, we got it down to about 112. Um, and then that came out. Through that, I got a TED talk and I speak globally now on this, so, in India, Australia, England, here in the States.
Mhm.
And it's just about now trying to raise awareness and say, listen, this happens every single day. It doesn't discriminate. Whether you're in Australia, whether you're in America or anywhere in the world, this happens. It's an epidemic. They say it's 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 women, 1 in 6 men. But when you think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of men that will never, ever, ever come forward, it's almost 1 for 1.
Oh yeah.
I was told at a younger age, it's, I think, 60 to 70% boys to girls. But then as we get older, it's more female than male.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's out there. And for me, I remember telling my publisher and she goes, "Why do you want to write this book?" And I said, "The reason why I want to write this book is if I can save one person's life, I've done the right thing. If I can stop them from going down the road that I did of violence and drugs and sex and trying to kill myself, then I've done the right thing." And in doing that and having this book come out and me telling my story and the TED Talk and now this documentary, I've had thousands of people reach out to me telling me that I've saved their lives, that I've given them the power now to get help, find some peace, get some closure.
Yeah.
So I'm doing, I know I'm doing the right things. And through this, I guess, the next step in this procession is it's the memoir is being turned into a movie
Wow.
and the script is written. We're working now with producers and starting to work with financiers and it's a powerful script, it's a powerful narrative, and we know that this could be a huge thing, could really go out globally to the world and just show the consequences of male sexual abuse and what one goes through and how he feels mentally, emotionally, physically. Um, so it's exciting, but as I said earlier, it is hard work.
Mm.
It's exhausting. And also for me, it's making sure I continue to take care of myself.
Right.
I talk about this every day. So it's about surrounding myself with the right people, people who believe me, people who trust me, people who love me, people who support me, people who are willing just to sit and listen when I'm going through things or when I'm exhausted or down or depressed or whatever the situation is. And it's not a quick fix. It's not, okay, 6 months of therapy and I'm all better now and I can move on. It's an everyday thing. My therapy is every day and
Forever.
it's forever till the day I die.
Yeah. And that, I just want to rewind a minute to something you said. And I'm sure when you said it, and people who are watching this interview who might not be familiar with going through something super, super serious, when you say you only write and to just to save one person, That is so truthful. I know with my books, it was the same thing. I don't care how many copies sell. If I help one person who's going through the same thing and seeing thriving now in me, that they, but I know people think that's like a cliche thing to say. Of course, you don't only want to sell one book, but it's true though. When you're truly passionate about something and you truly want what's your hearts come out for even one other person, it's definitely genuine and legitimate. So I really related to that. And the support system obviously is, you know, what you said earlier in the beginning of the interview about pushing everyone away and kind of dealing with yourself, very similar to my situation. Um, because you can hide that way, and it's not, you already don't feel safe. So then now you could just lock yourself away. And unfortunately, I locked myself away into my own mind, which led to bigger issues. But it,
But eventually that will become all consuming and that will kill you. Because if you just think you can do it on your own and you're going to lock yourself away in your room, you're never going to leave.
yeah,
You're never going to let anyone in romantically, family, friends, and eventually it's gonna consume you and yeah.
yeah. And then you continue to make the bad decisions because you're isolating yourself. So it's like, oh, well, then I'll go do this dangerous thing then, because at least I can get pleasure and uh, be out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love that you're so candid in your book and that you talk about the very serious things that you did because sugarcoating something, even though there could be repercussions down the line for you saying it, sugarcoating it doesn't show the full picture of just how bad it is. And unfortunately, people want proof that what you went through was bad enough. And so all these things lead up to, you know what I mean? And it's so weird. We live in a society where you need to actually share everything to show how much something affected you.
It is, and I think that's the problem with society in that we all live in this kind of Instagram world or this bubble where we show the outside world. I've got the perfect job, I've got the perfect car, I've got the perfect house, the perfect wife or girlfriend or partner or whatever the situation is. But deep down, I am suffering and I hate my life. As long as the rest of the world sees that I'm happy and I'm beautiful and I'm all great, then that's all that matters. And I think for a lot of people, doing the work is too much. It's just too much work to do the actual work. So I'd rather live in this world
Mhm.
where everyone else thinks I'm great, but deep down I'm miserable. And eventually, as I mentioned earlier, again, it's just going to build and build and build until I can't handle it anymore. And I do something I'm going to regret.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
life, yeah, it's simple. Life is simple, but we complicate it so much with the voices, with social media, with what we see and what we think societal norms are and where we need to be
yeah.
considered normal and cool and one of the good people. Um, and for me, one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my life that really helped me move forward was to own my shit,
Mhm.
own who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I've done a lot of bad and I've done a lot of ugly, but I put my hand up now and I own it.
Mhm.
And that's where I've got my freedom. That's where I've got my voice and my power. That's what's enabled me to sit here and talk to you and say, listen, I did this, 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 and I, went through these things. And I now know who I am as a human being. I now know who I am as a person, as a male. And I think that's a big part of society as well as this toxic masculinity and men are strong and men don't cry and
Mhm.
men, we're taught at such a young age to not show when we're hurt, not show when we're having difficulties and going through things. But you're more of a man, you're more of a person if you're able to communicate, if you're able to cry, if you're able to show vulnerability, empathy, put your hand up and say, this is what I'm going through.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. The
all,
age that you and I went through it is very similar.
yeah,
So, and going back to the abuser, like he was my best friend at the time. So it's like now in hindsight, I would say I could speak for you and for myself. That would have never happened now with the mindset that you're finally in when you start to heal. It's just like, why would I even be near the person?
yeah,
But then you're so young and oh wait, this is my best friend. Maybe it's supposed to be
yeah,
this. And like and there he had psychological problems too. I mean, he was known for like shooting darts into squirrels in our neighborhood, and the squirrels would be running around with little darts hanging, and you're just like, this person is a psychopath. What are you doing? But the power they hold over you is so
Exactly.
unique because of the situation that it's coming after. So I commend you for putting your story out there. The hard parts, the really deep, dark parts are just as important as the light parts because it shows how much a journey you have been on. And I know that there's a potential for an Oscar nomination, which we don't want to jinx anything.
Oh, now we just need the documentary voters to get in there and check out this documentary and vote for us. And if we got a nomination, that would be amazing. If we won it, that would be, I'm not even thinking about that, but just to get the nomination and just to be in consideration is a huge
Oh
thing.
yeah. And
Um, so we know there's something there. I've had some people reach out to me, some pretty high people in the film world say, Nathan, this is an amazing story. This is very powerful. The world needs to see this. And so I know we're onto something. I know we're onto something powerful and something good. And I know the change it could create. I know the narrative you could tell and the story you could tell and just the healing you could do to the world. And the world needs some healing right now, especially with everything going on with Epstein and the files and, P. Diddy and, all of these abusers and all of these people. And it's all about money and power. But that's a story for another time.
second interview, the follow-up.
But, if we can create change and that's what it is. That's what it's about. If we can change the narrative and about male sexual abuse and childhood sexual abuse, men and women, then we're doing the right thing here.
And in a truthful way, not in a sensational. What happened to you, yes, is would be sounding sensationalized, but it's actually true. So when people realize they're watching a documentary and not like something scripted by, either a film producer or a television writer or all that, that these are actual factual things that happened. It's not just your favorite character on a soap opera that it happened to, or in a movie or whatnot. That's where the power really is. It's like this guy's so open that it costs you. It's costing you to do this.
It is. In certain ways, it is, and it's cost me in relationships as well, and trying to meet someone and be in a relationship because my stuff is out there and it's online and it's Instagram and all that stuff. So yes, people check you out. And I've, gone on dates and met people who are like, wow, you're amazing. Your story is unbelievable and you're so strong and brave, but I could never date you or I don't want to date you because of what you've been through as well. So as much as they're saying, wow, you're amazing, on the other hand, they're saying, but you're too damaged for me. But I'm like, look at me for who I am today, not who I was 20 years ago, not for what I went through 20 years ago.
Right. They
And
didn't want to be seen as that 20-year ago person either. So why would you be any different?
exactly. But I think for a lot of these people, they're dealing with things, they're damaged, they haven't done the work on themselves as yet. So they're still needing to do or go on their journey as well. So it's a real eye opener, and it has been hard, tough, and it has been a struggle. And but we're hopeful that through this documentary and then through the movie that gets made soon, that things are going to change and we'll hopefully live in a a more peaceful and a
Yeah.
nice life. But yeah, we'll
Well,
see.
I'm really looking forward to getting the book. I will put a link to where you can purchase it on Amazon. Just be aware it takes 2 weeks or so to get now. So being gung ho, you got to be a little patient too. And also the documentary. I know. So today is the 7th. Next Friday, a week from today, the nominations will close, and I think the nominations come out on the 16th, if I'm
Yeah.
not. So
So
yeah,
I think on the sixth, I think in this category there's about 200 nominees, and I think on the 16th it goes down to 15,
okay,
and then I think in January they pick their final five or however many they pick.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I will certainly be praying for
Hey, thank you.
nomination and a win for you. Um, this has been a really great interview. It's nice to talk to someone who knows what you've gone through.
Thank
Uh,
you. Absolutely. Yes, it is.
and so I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see what's ahead. And if it gets made into a movie, all the better.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Nathan.
Take care.